In this video, we're going to celebrate the wonder of the Lexicon 480L reverb, which has been modelled relatively recently by UAD, and we're going to sort of see all of its lush, rich wonder coming to bear on this track. The 480L was kind of iconic because there was a white remote control which used to sit prominently on the mixing desk of sort of every famous recording studio in the world, and many still feature this reverb. It's still a very classic choice. So first of all, let's just listen to this track, play through. No reverb has been added to this. There's maybe a little bit of spatial treatment on some of the sounds, but it's pretty dry. The lushness, such as we'll hear it at the moment, is mostly coming from the pad sound, which is at the bottom of the arrangement. Anyway, let's just have a listen through right now. Okay, so we've got this nice sort of wonky track, and there's a sidechain trigger at the top, which you can hear from a sort of dynamics point of view is punching holes into lots of different sounds, but there's no reverb right now. So I think in order to pick a sound that's going to best demonstrate what the 480 can do, I'm actually just going to solo the snare drum for a moment. And what we'll do is we'll set up a new auxiliary bus, and we'll label this 480L. And onto this bus, we're going to place that reverb. And I mentioned the white controller. Here it is as a sort of front end for everything we might want to do within this reverb. So the way that the 480 works is that there are a number of different algorithms which can be selected here. So I can first of all choose a hall, or what I can do is to come out of halls altogether and choose from a number of different sort of overall algorithms here. So in addition to halls, there are rooms, while spaces, plates, and so on and so forth. If I was to select a plate up here at the top, I could then choose a type of plate that I might want to use. So we could go for something sort of fat, just to sort of see how the sort of lush richness of this particular reverb can work. So on this snare drum, what we'll do is we'll just solo this so we can just hear it playing through, and we can begin to see the parameters that are associated with this remote control and how they can work. And as you click on each one, so this was the reverb time, shortened to RTM here, but if I click on this fader, we'll see the full name of that parameter here and its current value, so 1.98 seconds. Let's just make that a little longer for now, and so on and so forth. We can go through the reverb shape, which is the next controller, the stereo spread, which comes next, the size of the room, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to just press play on the snare, and we'll change some of these parameters and begin to hear what the 480L is capable of in its plate setting. Okay, so we've got something a little bit more lo-fi, just a tiny bit. It's still very lush, this sound. But you can hear that I've selected a spread and a shape and a size, and you can obviously hear that every time we change the size, the reverb obviously just stops to recalculate, and then it produces the sound we might want to hear. So let's just put the snare back in context with this plate and hear how that sounds. Okay, Okay, I really like that. It's really washy. It's obviously very loud at the moment in the context of the mix, but I think this kind of a track can sort of take it. Let's just see what happens when we now add that reverb to the pad sound as well. I'm going to use exactly the same settings, select the same auxiliary, turn the level up. I'm just going to punch this in with the sidechain trigger just so we can hear it with and without. Okay, that's working well. What I also want to do is just to come into the main mixer and select both of the pluck sequence parts, which are here. We'll select these at once. And again, we'll send these into the reverb as well. Again, let's just solo those with the sidechain trigger. Okay, so the bottom of that sequence is sort of picking up some bass. We've got a chance to do something about that here. I'm just going to back down this bass now. I'm also going to put this into wet solo mode, which we haven't already, so there we are. Okay, so this is a really big, lush treatment, but let's just compare without any of the 480L on the mix, just to see where we were to start with, and I'll punch it in halfway through. Okay, so let's compare that to a hall, for instance. If we come into the halls, again, I think a large hall, I think this track can take it. So let's start here and just actually hear how this algorithm sounds. Again, I'll just solo the snare. It's a nice direct comparison, and we'll sort of build a hall treatment this time around this sound. You can hear that at the top of the sort of shape, at the highest settings, the reverb almost seems to sort of grow and build a little bit, which is actually quite nice, a sort of special effect type of reverb, whereas at lower settings we get a much more natural decay. Okay, so even fizzier and airier than the plate actually. Let's have a listen to that. And if I just solo the reverb return, we'll just hear how that treatment is affecting all of the sounds together that are using the reverb. Okay, so you can hear, even by looking at just those two algorithms, just what the 480L is capable of. You can begin to get a sense of why it was so popular as well. It's infinitely flexible algorithmic reverb, which allows you to take individual parameters, sort of meld them around your track and make individual choices. And of course, we're going for a sort of one-size-fits-all solution here by applying the same reverb to a number of different sounds. And whilst that provides some mixed glue, making more tailored choices on a per sound basis would work really nicely too.